Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. Good Saturday morning. If you are listening to this, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Welcome to Fix Your Plate with Dr. Monique. I am the board certified family physician known as the physician in the kitchen, and I help busy households just like yours. I promise you, eat a plant-based healthy diet without impacting their hectic schedules. That's it. It's simple, easy peasy. I'm here to help you live out your plant-based fantasies. I do this through my blogs, my two best-selling books. The most recent one is Doc Fix My Plate, The Physician in the Kitchen's Prescriptions for Your Healthy Meal Makeover, my speaking, my social media, and just this radio station, this radio show that you're listening to. So if you've been joining us over these past few weeks, you have been listening to my book club. I've been doing a virtual book club, taking you through part of Doc Fix My Plate. So it's got over 50 vegan recipes. And if you haven't gotten your copy, not too late, go on over to docfixmyplatebook.com to order your autographed copy. But not only does it have these wonderful plant-based recipes, but it also has my tips and tricks and things that I have learned on my journey toward a more plant-based diet that I began just over 2 years ago. So part of the book, this all kind of started from a blog. So I was writing these ABCs, Dr. Monique's favorite vegan food ABCs. And these were things I either discovered or learned about in a new way to help me transition to a plant-based diet. So we've been reading excerpts from the book, and I've been sharing with you some of these tips and tricks. So today we are doing the letter Q, the letter R, and the letter S. If you've missed the other ones, go on over to my YouTube channel at Physician in the Kitchen, and you can catch up. Don't worry, we've got you. So we're going to take a quick break, but first we want to thank our sponsors, May Medical Consulting PLLC and MDM Enterprises LLC. On the other side of this break, we're going to come back and get into the letter Q. See you on the other side.
If you want to educate, empower, and inspire our community, we're providing a wonderful opportunity for anyone who feels they can make a positive impact in the lives of others by applying to be an on-air radio personality. To set up an interview, call 877-342-7770. That's 877-342-7770 to apply. This is your chance to step out on faith. This is your chance to get the experience and education that you need in order to launch to the next level of greatness and make a significant difference. WDRB Media is now hiring on-air radio personalities. If this is you, no experience is required, no previous education needed. They do all the training. Call 877-342-7770 to set up your interview today.
All right. Welcome back to Fix Your Plate with Dr. Monique. I'm your host. It's me, Dr. Monique, physician in the kitchen. And before we get into the letter Q, I wanted to take a moment. We are not quite, we're less than 2 weeks from Christmas. So I hope in the hustle and bustle of things, you all are still taking time to nourish your bodies with quality food, not these empty calories, these high sugary treats and things. You know, going to these holiday parties, it's so tempting, right? But don't let these 3 to 4 weeks of the holiday season sabotage what you've been working toward all year and going into the new year, right? Be successful, be purposeful, be mindful, and stay on your path. Stay on your path towards your fitness and your health goals, however those look. All right. So before the break, I told you that we're going to pick up with the letter Q. We're doing this virtual book club. So the letter Q in my Dr. Monique's favorite vegan food ABCs is for quinoa. So when I discovered quinoa, this was hands down one of my new absolute favorites. So I have to give you a little background here. So I have texture issues. Dr. Monique, what are texture issues? Foods have to taste a certain way in my mouth, or they will kind of, for lack of a better word, freak me out. So for that reason, I I don't like oatmeal. And I know oatmeal is so good for you, right? It's the good kind of complex carbs. It's got um, minerals and vitamins and the good fats and all that. I can't do it. I just don't like the way cooked oatmeal feels in my mouth. And I knew I had to find a healthier hot cereal because I grew up eating cream of wheat the way my mom used to make it. Oh my goodness, is one of my probably earliest comfort foods that I could think of. But it tends to be high in simple carbs and low in fiber, which is defeats the whole purpose of eating a wheat product, right? So I was so fortunate and happy to find quinoa because it's my go-to for um, for my a nice hot filling breakfast. So, and of course you can use it in dishes, savory dishes as well, but we'll get to that a little later. So quinoa, which is spelled Quinoa, but pronounced Keen dash WAH, quinoa, has so many health benefits and it's a great source of protein, right? This is a topic that's come up time and time again on the show where, can vegans or plant-based people get enough protein? Yes, and this is one of those sources for you. It's also got the complex carbs, fiber, iron, calcium, and minerals such as iron, potassium, and phosphorus and magnesium. So it also contains vitamin E and vitamin B. So it's actually, in addition to all that, it is considered a complete protein, one of the few plant sources of a complete protein, which means it has all of the 9 essential amino acids that our bodies cannot make on its own. So they should be eaten every day. Essential amino acids should be eaten every day. But think of them as building blocks. They're building blocks for muscle in your body. So you want to make sure you're getting adequate amounts each day. And out of the 20 amino acids that your body needs to function, again, those building blocks, there are only 9 that are considered essential. And quinoa has all 9 of those. So in addition to making protein, amino acids are also used to make hormones and neurotransmitters, which are basically brain chemicals that can affect your mood. So lots of good benefits for eating quinoa. So it's actually classified as it's a seed, but it's actually kind of classified as a whole grain. That really doesn't really matter. All you really need to know is it can be prepared and eaten like wheat, rice, oats, things like that. Comes in different colors like red, white, and black. And sometimes you can even buy them kind of mixed where all 3 of those colors come together. My favorite is the white. I do tend to use that more than any others because I think it's just a little more versatile. I think it lends itself more to the breakfast substitutes than the other colors. And I know I'm always talking about eat the rainbow, right? Eat those colors. But it is a member of the plant family, and so it contains antioxidants and anti-inflammatory properties, which are important for preventing those chronic diseases such as cancer and diabetes and so forth. It has 30 grams of carbs per quarter cup, so you do want to be mindful of that. Again, does have carbs, and it's actually gluten-free. So this is good for people who have gluten sensitivities or gluten issues because it does not have the gluten in there. Because it is high in fiber, it's good for bowel health, and it also helps you feel full, which can decrease snacking and lead to weight, can help control your weight. The other thing about it is because it helps you, because it's so high in protein, it can actually help boost your metabolism, which means it helps you burn calories throughout the day. So one of the recipes in my book that features quinoa is I call it chocolate quinoa. It's a breakfast dish that I made for my son. And I just add some cinnamon, some nutmeg, maple syrup, a splash of vanilla. Makes a wonderful hearty breakfast. You can top it with like dried fruits, like dried apples, things like that, or nuts, like, pecans, walnuts. You can even sprinkle some some flaxseed on top of it to really boost even more of the benefits of it. And it's kind of like eating, I say it's kind of like eating dessert for breakfast, because with that chocolate, with that cocoa in there, it really it just takes it over the top. So I also make a chocolate quinoa. So there's the quinoa I make with the cinnamon and nutmeg and maple and so forth. But then there's also the chocolate quinoa, which uses cocoa, and it's like chocolate cake and quinoa got together. It's delicious. And then there's another recipe in the book that's features it, and it's my quinoa and mushroom stuffed peppers. And basically there I'm using it instead of rice in the stuffed pepper. So really, really delicious. So that is quinoa. I hope if you've not had it before, please think about giving it a try, because it really was eye-opening and game-changing for me. Let me tell you, I have to tell you, quinoa was really a hidden gem for me, and I'm really glad that I discovered it. So we're going to take a quick break, come back on the other side, and get into the letter R. Any guesses what that might be? Come back on the other side and see if you're right. This is Dr. Monique, and you're listening to Fix Your Plate.
Calling all business owners, all independent artists, and all nonprofit organizations. If you are in need of radio advertising, we encourage you to call 877-342-7770. That's 877-342-7770. Through their Community Give Back project, there is an entrepreneur foundation that is paying for free radio advertising. That's right, I said free, F-R-E-E, in support of our small business owners, independent artists, and nonprofit organizations. Please call 877-342-7770 in order to receive your free radio advertising today.
All right. Welcome back. Welcome back to Fix Your Plate with me, your host, Dr. Monique, the physician in the kitchen. And today we are doing some of my favorite vegan food ABCs. And we've already covered the letter Q for quinoa. Next, we're going to get into the letter R for rice. Rice is kind of a no-brainer, right? It's kind of hard to have a plant-based diet and not talk about rice. It's eaten in so many cultures around the world, including African, Asian, and Latin American, for good reason, lots of good reasons. It's easy to prepare, very affordable, has a long shelf life, which makes it like the ideal pantry staple. You really can build a lot of meals using rice as a basis. According to Ricepedia, yes, there is such a thing as a Ricepedia. Rice is the staple food of more than half of the world's population. More than 3.5 billion people depend on rice for more than 20% of their daily calories. Rice has been around for a long time, probably not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. It can be eaten in breakfast, appetizers, even desserts as well, like rice pudding, right? There are two main types of rice, white rice and brown rice, or the whole grains. Brown rice is definitely the healthier of the two, because it's not processed like white rice is. So due to the extra processing and refinement, white rice is lower in fiber and nutritional benefits than brown rice. So the reason for that is, let's review real briefly a little bit of plant anatomy or rice grain anatomy. It is three parts: the bran, the germ, and the endosperm. So the bran is the outer part, it's the outer layer of the grain, which is high in fiber, B vitamins, and minerals. And when rice is processed, that gets removed. The germ is also removed. The germ is the core of the grain, and that's the part that it can sprout and form into another plant. It's high in antioxidants, B vitamins, minerals, protein, and fat. It's actually, so think of it, it's kind of like the seed to form another plant. So it's going to have a lot of this stuff that a plant needs to grow. So it's got the B vitamins, it's got the mineral, the protein, and fat. When you get processed rice, that has been stripped away as well. So the outer part and the inner part is stripped. And what they leave is called the endosperm, which is where the starch comes in. And it's going to be the highest in carbohydrates and proteins. So that's the difference. That's why we recommend the least processed, because you're getting the B vitamins, the minerals, and so forth, that the fiber that has been stripped away from the processed rice. So a little bit of rice or grain anatomy there for you. So both white and brown rice are mostly carbs. So if you're watching your carb intake, like we talked about with the quinoa, you might want to try some plant-based rices that are available, some substitutes such as cauliflower rice, which you can make at home with a grater or a food processor. There's also there's things being made now with like lentils and things like that. They're substituting so that the carb content is lower. But getting back to brown rice, there's many subtypes like purple rice, red white rice, black rice, wild rice. And again, these are still going to have the brown or that outer seed coat. They're going to be high in fiber and have the most health benefits compared to white rice. So basmati rice and jasmine rice are other options too. And, they do come in whole grain. So that's something you can look for. Those are going to be used more or can be used more in Indian inspired dishes, but they're nice to add into your repertoire as well. And as we talked about, again, with the rice substitutes, think like lentils and chickpeas so that the carbs are lower. So some of the health benefits of brown rice and its subtypes. So again, brown rice is going to include black and red and purple rice. So brown rice has a lower glycemic index. That's a number where we measure how high and how fast your blood sugar goes up after you eat. Brown rice has a lower glycemic index than white rice. So that means it's going to raise your blood sugars less than white rice does. So this is important for diabetics or people who might be at risk for becoming diabetic. As a whole grain, it's going to have all the health benefits you'd expect, like we've been talking about. And whole grains lower cholesterol and decrease the risk for stroke, heart disease, and type 2 diabetes. Purple rice is high in antioxidants, which decrease the risk for heart disease and cancer. Purple rice also contains several B vitamins that are important for healthy muscle and nerve function and heart function too. And lastly, brown rice contains the minerals selenium and magnesium. Selenium is important for your thyroid function, and magnesium helps with blood pressure control. So as you can see, lots of benefits from your whole grain rice. So like we talked about, rice is very versatile, can be used in soups and casseroles, stir fries, you name it. You can use it, make it in a pressure cooker, rice cooker, or on the stovetop. The key thing though to remember, and this was something I had to learn, white rice cooks in 20 minutes, right? Because again, it's been stripped down, doesn't take long to cook. You can't cook the whole grain rices in 20 minutes. Remember, I told you about my texture issues, right? So for me, part of the process for me was learning to cook the rice long enough so that it was the right texture for me to eat. So you've got to remember that when you're switching over, it takes longer to cook than your white rice. So you want to, and also too, a lot of people rinse their rice first. Rinsing the rice gets rid of the excess starch, and it's going to give you a fluffier rice. Rice is a wonderful one-pot meal ingredient because the rice kind of cooks along with everything else. And one of the recipes in the book is my 16 bean medley with plant-based sausage and purple rice. However, I will tell you, this is the one exception to the rule of the one pot. I do recommend if you're going to use purple rice, cook the purple rice separately, because if you cook the purple rice, and take it from me because I've made this mistake, if you cook the purple rice along with everything else, guess what? Everything, the whole dish is purple. And purple is my favorite color, but it's nice to have some variety in your color. And in fact, using this 16 bean medley is so cool because you get to see all the different beans, the lima beans, the black eyed peas, the kidney beans, the navy beans. But when you cook them in purple along with purple rice, everything's purple. So cook your rice separately, then just add your rice in at the end. One word of caution about rice and arsenic. This was something I didn't realize till I started researching this. Brown rice and white rice may contain this trace element, so mean small amounts, but over time, and some people can actually increase the risk for chronic disease such as cancer and diabetes. So to decrease that risk, it is recommended rinse your rice off first and cook it in plenty of water, kind of like we do pasta, right? So And this is, something I kind of struggle with sometimes because I'm so used to my ways of cooking rice, 1 part rice, 2 parts water. When you cook it like you do pasta, you just put in, however much water. So, you can easily dilute that arsenic and then you just pour that water off versus, like you do with your pasta, right? You drain your pasta versus the traditional way or the usual way of making rice, which is where the water cooks in to the rice. So something to think about there. So another rice recipe that I have, excuse me, is my cilantro lime rice. So it's a great side dish, but it can also be used in a burrito or the base of a veggie bowl with your choice of protein, some roasted vegetables, and other hearty toppings. And it's very simple. It's rice, fresh cilantro, and lime, a squeeze of lime. And it's just to me, it's just chef's kiss. So we have done the letter Q for quinoa, the letter R for rice. We're going to take another quick break and come back and talk about S. What could be the letter S? What do you think? Well, you got to come back. You got to come back on the other side and find out if you're right. This is Dr. Monique. You're listening to Fix Your Plate.
342-7770. Through their Community Give Back project, there is an entrepreneur foundation that is paying for free radio advertising. That's right, I said free, F-R-E-E, in support of our small business owners, independent artists, and nonprofit organizations. Please call 877-342-7770 in order to receive your free radio advertising today.
All right. Welcome back. Welcome back to Fix Your Plate with me, your host, Dr. Monique, the physician in the kitchen. And we are continuing. If you've been listening, thank you so much. If you're just joining us, thank you so much. We are doing my virtual book club. We're doing my favorite vegan food ABCs. And we've already covered, before the break, we covered the letter Q, which was for quinoa, and we did the letter R, which was for rice. Now we are going to wrap up with the letter S. And S is for sweet potatoes. S is for sweet potato. Again, this is another one of those foods that can be used from breakfast to dessert. Sweet potato pancakes, candied sweet potatoes, right? I mean, with Thanksgiving, what would Thanksgiving be without some candied sweet potatoes? My sweet potato pies and my vegan and gluten-free sweet potato pound cake, which are in the book. The foods on this list, they made this list not only because they're delicious, but because of their nutritional value, particularly as you are trying to fix your plate, right? And put more healthy things on there. So sweet potatoes generally are going to be healthier for you than white potatoes. And not to mention, to me, tastier, right? So 1 cup of sweet potatoes contains 27 grams of carbs versus 37 grams for white potatoes. So that's important because that means that the glycemic index, remember, we talked about that before, that number, glycemic index is that number or the measurement of how fast and how high your blood sugar goes up after you eat. The fact that sweet potatoes have a lower glycemic index than regular potatoes is important because it's less likely to have that impact on, or has a lower impact on your sugar levels. What's interesting, though, is baked sweet potatoes do have a higher GI index or glycemic index than boiled ones because of what happens during the baking process. So just the act of baking the sweet potato does raise the glycemic index. Being aware for diabetics of this is important because it can play a role in their blood sugars. But in general, those sweet potatoes are going to still be healthier for you. Sweet potatoes actually come in many different colors. We always think of them as orange, but you can get white sweet potatoes, also purple sweet potatoes. And we're not talking about just the flesh, like inside the actual potato itself will be different colors. The ones that are orange are high in beta carotene, which is an antioxidant that our bodies converts to vitamin A. And as you may remember, vitamin A is important for healthy eyes, and it strengthens your immune system, and it's good for healthier skin. It's also important for preventing eye diseases such as macular disease, macular degeneration, and also cataract. So those are all leading causes of vision impairment and blindness in this country. That's why mothers all around the world tell their children eat their carrots because they want to help their vision. So that same thing that makes carrots orange is what makes sweet potatoes orange, the orange ones, and that's the beta carotene. They also have beneficial phytonutrients, which are those healthy plant chemicals called anthocyanins that help prevent diseases such as cancer and high blood pressure. And they may also help boost your memory. So who can? I know I can use that. Raise your hand. Am I by myself? I don't think I am. If you can use something that can boost your memory, we are in good company. Sweet potatoes are also high in vitamin C, again, another antioxidant, as well as potassium, which is a mineral, and fiber. Like other foods that we've discussed previously with these attributes, sweet potatoes help you feel full and can keep cravings and snacking at bay due to that high fiber content. This may result in a lower number on your bathroom scale when you weigh in. And the anti-inflammatory benefits of sweet potatoes are due to their high vitamin content. Because of their anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties, again, they may help reduce the risk of development of chronic diseases. Sweet potatoes also promote gut health from their fiber content and by increasing the growth of, quote, good gut bacteria. So we all have bacteria in our guts and our intestines, and they're actually there. They serve a purpose. They're good bacteria. They help keep other bacteria, the bad bacteria, at bay. They help with breaking down sometimes some drug metabolism. You want to have a certain amount of good, healthy bacteria in your gut, and sweet potatoes are helpful for that. So one of the recipes in the book is my sweet potato hash. It's a breakfast hash that I actually made one day with some leftover frozen sweet potato fries that I just kind of diced up along with some red bell pepper and red onion and threw that all in a cast iron skillet with some thyme, rosemary, smoked paprika, and cooked it all down. And by far, this was just amazing. It's a little bit smoky. It's very savory, a little bit smoky. Actually, it's got a little sweetness to it, and it's very, 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 very filling. So a great way to kind of spruce up your hash if you're looking for that. We're going to talk about real quickly here just the difference between sweet potatoes and yams. So those are sometimes used interchangeably. When people say sweet potatoes, they mean yams and vice versa, but they are two completely different vegetables. Sweet potatoes tend to have a thin reddish brown skin, whereas yams have a rough textured brown skin, kind of like tree bark. Sweet potatoes can be orange, white, or purple, like we've mentioned, whereas yams are pale and starchy. Sweet potatoes have a sweet flavor. Yams are more neutral. And yams are not readily or widely available in a lot of U.S. stores. So when you're buying, what you're buying in the grocery store more often than not is going to be sweet potatoes, not yams. And interestingly, sweet potatoes originated in South or Central America, and yams actually originated in the African continent. So not the same at all. Okay. They may be used interchangeably, but technically they are not the same. So that is today. Today we've covered Q for quinoa, R for rice, and S for sweet potatoes. So I hope, this is one of the fastest 30 minutes of my day. And it's because I get so passionate about what I'm talking about. I look up and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's hard to wrap up. So please let me know which of these you enjoy cooking with. If you've not tried them before, let me know when you do. You can follow me on all social media at Physician in the Kitchen. Drop me a line at media at Dr. Monique May. That's media at DrMoniqueMay. If you have got a question that you would like answered as it pertains to food, plant-based food specifically, drop us a line. If we read your question on the air, you will get an autographed copy of my best-selling book, Doc Fix My Plate, The Physician in the Kitchen's Prescriptions for Your Healthy Meal Makeover. You can also order your autographed copy at docfixmyplatebook.com. It is my pleasure to be on here sharing with you my approach to adopting a plant-based diet. And it's just that, my approach. We all take a little bit of whatever we come in contact with, incorporate it and make it your own. I'm just here to help you do that. So I encourage you to invest in your health one plate at a time, eat the rainbow, and wishing you good food and good health. I am Dr. Monique. Thank you so much. So much. You could have done anything else with these 30 minutes, but you chose to spend them listening to my voice. And I do deeply appreciate that. Till next week, take care and be well.